Welcome to another episode of Cultervate. We got HB in the building, Coakley finally back from the friend side. And we got a guest, not an interviewee, sorry, but a guest all the way from Silicon Valley. We got fans in Silicon Valley, so
best believe, for sure.
Cultervators, we making moves. Jose, Browne. Our first topic for this evening is the Kevin Hart story. Kevin Hart was introduced to be the host of the
Oscars, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was one day he was a host, next day he's not the host.
And on social media, being proud that,
definitely.
this was on the list.
Yeah. So the question is, that I'm posing to you guys is, are we becoming a little bit too politically correct? Because he made some disparaging comments against the LGBTQ community.
I didn't let those
to that community some years ago. He said that he apologized already and he's not going to apologize again. So he declined being the host of the Academy Awards. So HB, what is your take on that? Do you think he needed to apologize again, or he made the right decision?
I agree with Kevin Hart in the sense of, if he apologized, let's say this is 2018. Let's say if he apologized in 2014, right? Why does he need to apologize again just because he's a host for 2018 Oscars?
Exactly.
Understand? In my opinion, like as mentioned before, I think the word gets a little sensitive. Right? And everybody wants to be politically correct.
Yeah.
Right. Well, at least, I don't know about. That's the next thing we should go into. If it, like that in the Caribbean, or that's just in the US or the North American area. But that's my opinion.
Also to add to this conversation, Nick Cannon also brought up two comments by comedians. I think one was Amy Schumer, and what's this lady's name?
Sarah Silverman, I think it is.
No, I think it was Amy Schumer, and she was on ETV. I can't remember her name.
Sarah Silverman, she's like a Jewish girl, black hair.
No, Chelsea Handler. Okay, then it was Chelsea Handler as well. I think was it.
But I know Silverman.
But she part of the LGBT community.
She made some disparaging comments about homosexuals in the past, and
and nobody ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, nobody said anything. So Nick Cannon brought that perspective in, and then somebody else brought in a perspective Nick Cannon brought in, where he said in 2012, Nick Cannon said, black men are so
targeted.
No,
or they hold to a different standard.
No, black men are so homophobic. And when are we going to change as black men? And then he also said that if you were homophobic in 2012 or 2014 or whatever, what's the deal? So here he is defending Kevin Hart, saying Kevin Hart made these comments, he apologized for it, and here's these other people that made these comments and didn't apologize, and their money didn't stop. They
specifically, look at this. These comments come out years ago. Right?
2008 actually.
Exactly. And Kevin Hart, I don't think nobody arguing that Kevin Hart homophobic, right? I mean, he's one of the most positive people on social media. He always, spreading love, unity, fitness. So people trying to bring these things up now only because now the Oscars is a big thing. You know what I mean?
That's another part of it too. Like, why I agree with his stance, because the Oscars, they gave him the Oscars. All good. They gave him the ultimatum. They told him, you either apologize or you step down. I mean, I respect his stance, because if I apologize for something I did 10 years ago, why you all of a sudden, and you picked me for this job, now you want to take this thing that the trolls or whatever brought up from the past and make me make a decision because of that again? y'all.
I feel like that community.
I'm glad you mentioned that point, because that's honestly what I believe. I think this is just another example of internet outrage culture. Right?
Exactly.
You have to look at how the internet does work. It's all marketing. It's a business, right? And it ain't newsworthy if you're in the middle, if you have a really sound, like Kevin Hart, of course he made a mistake in the past. We all grown. He actions today show that he's a different human being, and he ain't that person that he was back then, right? And that's what we should look for, people who make mistakes and learn, right? That they realize that, this does offend somebody. Let me calm that down and evolve, right? Our parents raised us that way to
So you think it's a publicity stunt?
I think it's just the internet making money. Because look, next week we're gonna be talking about this.
But I think that community too, that LGBTQ community, you say something disparaging about them, it's a wrap.
Same thing with racism. We just
after
target racism the same way. If anybody say anything that is blatantly racist, we just attack them, as we should. But I think we have to like figure out like a balance.
I want to know if you think if it's a publicity stunt for the Oscar to generate attention because because this is what Kevin Hart asked now. Why are you telling me I must apologize for something? Then why did you not look up the information when I have apologized? So when he mentioned I like, that's a good question. No. Why? Because don't forget, no, a lot of people were saying the Oscars kind of dropping in rating and views and things. So when he mentioned, I was saying, that's a good question.
Last year was Oscar so white.
Yeah,
that was a controversy last year. So everybody
been going for years. They've been getting attacked that it's too white. They ain't like, for example, Moonlight. When Moonlight was like the biggest movie of the year, and they still didn't win that award. Everybody was like, what?
But that's an interesting perspective, But then that goes into this thing that we don't. It's part of
society today
that we don't talk about. Is there people higher up pulling strings to
for the music artists, as example, I always say they want to boycott the Grammys because it's an unfair award show. I think with all award shows, you have some person pulling strings because power struggle.
Bias.
Because they have a committee who don't know nothing about that type of music,
Correct.
Including the culture.
Instead of old fellas just judging everything. It's not really like, how you say, they don't have the correct knowledge from every aspect of the genres to make a proper decision,
Exactly. They ain't following these people on social media. They ain't listening to the music and seeing what the content of the music is, what the message is.
They're seeing who's actually being championed in that genre, They just speak and it's like, okay, he being championed.
Let me ask you a different question. You think that would be a big of a scene if it was in the Caribbean? Let's say no. It's a similar. Let me say we have
a homosexual.
I don't want to call no local comedian, but let me say they had a local comedian here, right? And they made a remark like that in 2008. It was right, and 2018 after a award show maybe in Jamaica or a different area or a bigger award show. You think that they would be thinking the same thing like the Oscars, like? You should apologize for that comment in 2008, or that's just a North American thing?
Because of social media, like Jose said, because of social media, I think there are going to be champions that come out and say, but he made a disparaging comment about homosexuals or black people or somebody.
Yeah, but I still think your comment got point, because I think the reason why social media has amplified the extremes is because it has taken advantage of whatever social norms that exist.
Exactly,
And I think in America we're in a place right now where homosexuality is like old. Like we tired of this shit. They want to like normalize that shit, treat people equally. And it is attack. Same with slavery. And I think your question, correct me if I'm wrong, is more like, do we think that St.Maarten or the Caribbean in general more accepting of homophobic behavior?
No, we are definitely more accepting of homophobic behavior. Definitely.
It wouldn't be much of an outrage in the Caribbean, like basically saying, if it happened to St.Maarten, the outrage won't really be there.
No, because remember when I don't want to get into the political realm, but remember a comedian made a comment about a minister, and the social media went after that comedian, because remember that social media made memes.
They went off.
They went off.
You want to say the name?
Alright, no, we ain't gonna get that kind of energy.
This is what we here for.
So I don't. We are more accepting of homophobic slurs and whatnot in the Caribbean, but also we also have, because of social media, I can sit down behind my computer, and if I feel a way about something you said, I can go and say it, and then it's going to be championed by other people, because we have a group on Facebook that you do something, boom, they're there within minutes.
That's another thing. Like, would you do the same thing in person? Right? Because the internet have this way of, or the computer I should say, right? The fact that you're on a keyboard in your room, in your boxers, just, chilling in your environment, and you're just writing words. And I don't think people just picture another human being on the other side of that, send button, you understand? So I think that got a lot to do with it too.
So leading into the next topic, which we're segueing into, is do you find ourselves being more politically correct? That because I don't want the backlash of the public, I would now say I would beat around the bush. Like, for example, our interview last time with Rum, when I addressed the situation with him and General Pi, he said I was beating around the bush, just ask me the question.
Yeah.
But I was doing it to be
polite, respectful.
exactly.
Yeah.
Do you find that we are doing, we're being more politically correct because we fear the vitriol from
Well, you can start off quickly.
Yeah, it's that stuff. Like we how to say, we try to figure out the words to say certain things in such a way that we don't offend anyone. And like if you speak your mind, like how Kevin Hart, like 8-10 years, if it's someone now, 10 years from now, I could kill a bitch.
But what you think is like that right now, though?
Like how you were saying earlier, it's like the outrage society we have right now. One little thing, people make it to a whole. I mean,
But you think we should pay attention to that extent? Like,
no, but
it's like
for me, there's a lot of things I want to say on Facebook. There's a lot of things I want to say on Facebook, and I
But
type
you're
it out.
afraid of the
I know I type it out.
I do that too now.
And then I just backspace.
Yeah. Because you know
backspace.
people ain't gonna
You're
take the
afraid of
time
Exactly.
and
absorb
read.
it. Exactly.
For your mind, 'cause like without social media, remove that part of the equation. If I tell you something like wild, it's staying right there in your ears. You know what I mean?
And you do say some wild
yeah, it's
stuff.
not staying on the website forever. It's not, for everyone to see it 10 years down the line.
Right.
And now we have that, like, people scared to say things like comedians now. Like, they can make a joke. Now they gotta go back and defend their joke.
Yeah,
'cause everyone outraged.
that's the thing. That's the thing. For comedians, to me, they have to green light to say certain things
They
because
had everything they had.
Yeah.
No, people,
no, I know, but I think do they? Because Kevin Hart, then Kevin Hart. I don't know the content of what that comment was. It was a tweet.
it was
Yeah,
a tweet,
it was
but
a
tweet.
even like when his first specials, he was making jokes about that same thing too, about his son being gay, or how he do this.
It
and
was a
that.
joke, right?
Yeah.
It was a
So-
joke.
so
it
do
was
that.
one of the specials.
Yeah, but then
But
do they?
that's a reflection too, because you think, like, if I had a stud, I would be like, yo, like, how do I
they
read
get
jokes?
it?
But that's comedy though. Comedy is riffing and
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? So I think comedy should have like a special protection.
That's what we should
You know what I'm
have,
saying?
but,
If you don't
But I
like
think
what a
everybody-
comedian's saying, I think you should just don't watch his show.
Exactly.
Don't
Yeah.
play it in your house, you know what I'm saying? But that the flip side to that, on the real world, taking it off the internet and out to the outrage culture, I think being politically correct, or saying that, you're just saying that because you want to be politically correct, I think that narrative is dangerous. Because the right wingers use that, for example, to say that, because black people care about, for example, police brutality or, structural racism, and we just talk about it in terms of like who we want to elect, etc. They just say that's being politically correct, right? So Colin Kaepernick saying that, Colin Kaepernick, taking a knee to raise awareness for police brutality, and us saying that, that's good, that's being politically correct. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I don't believe in that. And I like to separate it,
Yeah, but I find it's very difficult to separate because there's things that I feel very strongly about, and then
You want to mention it online. You want to express it online.
Well, no, not only that, there's things I feel strongly about, and if I do the opposite, like if somebody does the opposite of it, I have to also respect that opinion
I see.
as well.
So you believe in, for example, women should be treated equal and paid equally in society.
Yeah, I believe
somebody
that.
out there trying to, do the opposite.
Because for example, like the interesting thing that you brought up, the women and equality, because I do believe women should be paid equally for the same job,
work,
for the same work, but I don't the contrarian position to that is this feminist movement that is going on and men that quash that. And for me, I don't understand why they quash it, because for me,
Quash what specifically?
that the feminist talk, like, women empowerment of women is dangerous for
against
men.
it.
Yeah, they're dangerous for men and whatnot. Because for me, I'm in a position of as a man, I'm in a position of power.
Right.
So why is a woman wanting to be equal threatening me? Like,
Yeah,
why does that bother me?
And that's a
But
narrative.
exactly.
That's
you
a
know?
narrative, yeah.
So I don't even remember what I was trying to go with that point.
I understand that point though. But what I would do though is question whether that's real or not.
Yeah.
Like, is it true that if women are paid equally, that are gonna actually threaten how much money I make?
Yeah.
You know, because it's the same thing that I say with racism. Or if we let black people, be able to get an office job and run companies and then that gonna, white privilege.
Exactly,
get offended, right?
and for me, this now that we're going into this white privilege thing, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you. For example, in North America, I don't see why the white man should fare anything from black people, because they have been in a position of power and strength from since.
But that's what it is.
since-
Is that when Shang
I don't-
Tzu write
I
the
don't
book
say-
called The Art of War, where he described that freedom one's given, or you could say privilege one's given, will not be given away without a fight.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So and Trevor Noah, I don't know if you've ever read Trevor Noah book.
No, I haven't read it.
It's an amazing book. yo.
He's a comedian on the Daily Show.
On a Daily Show.
He took over
Jon
for
Stewart,
Jon
exactly.
Stewart,
In Born a Crime, he actually talked about like growing up in apartheid South Africa and being raised in a community where he was born a crime, right? So his father was black. His mother was black, and his father was, I think, European, and he was, of course, mixed. Right? Oh, I hit a mic. And it was illegal for them to be seen in public together, right? So he actually did a talk about how that had affected him. The fact when he realized, for example, that they have this tradition in South Africa when somebody die, everybody does go to the person who died house and like cook out, and like only the family, for example, allowed to eat in the house. But he, because he light skin, he was allowed to be in the house and eat the high-end food.
Yeah.
And he remember feeling like, as much as unfair as it obviously is, right, that my friends can't come in here and eat, but you feel good to eat this food, and so it had to like say, you know what, no. I don't want to be inside the house. I want my friends to eat the same what I do. That's something that's hard for people to do, and I think that's where white privilege is
but since we're talking about apartheid, I just want to delve into that a little bit. Just recently, I think the Parliament of South Africa just passed the law where the white farmers or owners of land would have to give back the land to
reparations.
It was not exactly reparations. They're calling it redistribution of wealth. So that the land.
I mean, that's reparations.
the land is going back to government, and then government is going to redistribute the land for equally around for the constituents of South Africa. So what do you feel that is something like? Is that something you would champion, like taking back the land from these white South Africans that essentially brought apartheid to, and this is going to segue into our next conversation about Sinterklaas and Zwarte Piet, because essentially those white South Africans are Dutch descendants.
Right.
So would you champion something like that, taking back land from
Specifically for South Africa?
let's just talk about continental Africa, because but more specifically for, like, for example, that is a big problem in South Africa and Zimbabwe. Those two countries have that where you have a majority white land ownership. So
when the dominant culture is black people,
exactly,
and a minority of white own most of the property.
HB,
gotcha.
Is that?
I need to first understand the situation, because in every situation there are pros and cons, right? I need to understand if, let's say, if they take back everything is shared equally, right? Is that going to cause civil war? I need to find out the ins and outs of it. What's the percentage of black people and white people in South Africa? Because if it's white dominant,
no, it's black dominant.
No, I just use it as an example. Then obviously it's a problem.
Yeah.
But what
You understand?
if it's a small percentage of white people, but they accrue that wealth through generational wealth, meaning they are, grand.
It was
generations
willed,
ago, their parents come, and there was, of course, during apartheid, so they was disproportionately advantaged, meaning just because they were white, they was getting business, all these things, and because of that, their kids now own property and own land, etc. So that's how they now still own land today. And I guess the argument is that, is it right for government to come and say, okay, well, now that we know for a fact that apartheid was wrong.
Because I saw. Let me just add this. Because I saw a news footage where a white South African was like, "Yeah, I don't think this is fair. You're treating me like this way because of my skin color." And I was like, what?
Welcome to the club. Welcome. Yeah.
Nah. I think the idea is good. It's just how they gonna execute it. It's why I'm curious about. Because everything could sound good by just saying it, but it's always about execution. I need to understand the process, and it's happening for me to really say I would champion it. I champion the idea, but I can't say I champion the execution, because I need to understand how we going to do it.
And that's a struggle.
Yeah, like I'm on the same page with him. Like, it sounds good on paper, but like to actually execute it to get the marshals to go to people's house, remove them from the house, and it's not gonna be an easy thing, yo. It's gonna cause.
But was it easy? Was it easy when they came to South Africa?
So obviously you champion.
I feel bad, but at the same time, I'm like,
You feel bad?
Yeah, I feel bad.
For what?
But that
white people?
I feel a little bad for the white folks.
Because they didn't do nothing right. It's their parents.
Yeah, but still, they also perpetuate it too. They also perpetuate what their grandparents or great grandparents have done. So I feel bad that okay, are you trying to live in this peace and unity, la 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 la, but and then you got to lose your thing. But at the same time, I like okay then,
Yeah.
So you're in the middle.
Like you give somebody livelihood, and like.
Yeah, but the thing is, for me,
yes,
it's
they got it in a bad way. They got it illegally or whatever. But like that's.
No, well, they didn't get it illegally.
They didn't get it
It's like crime with
illegally.
spilt milk. Like it happened. Like we can't do to change that. But now to fix it, we have to do. We're gonna cause a lot of drama. Like it's not gonna go down easily, bro. It's gonna be.
So you were champion or you was
Like, I want
Yeah.
to know how they get
Yeah.
executed. Like,
Yeah.
I think y'all are on one boat.
Yeah.
you're in the middle.
No, well, I'm more leaning to Jose.
Because like,
Well, I don't.
Well, I with you. It's all about execution.
Yeah.
It had
Yeah.
for the same reasons. I didn't, for example, I didn't own no slaves.
Yeah.
If somebody come and tell me, oh, now I gotta,
Yeah.
give up my house, and I probably struggling right now for real, and that gonna come hard, right? That's a hard argument to take. But I just look at the example of like in the States, it's called this thing affirmative action. Affirmative action is basically a program that says we need to do more. In other words, more than what we do for everybody else, for the communities that we systematically disenfranchised in the past, right? So one example of that is busing. People who live in, oppressed communities or like ghettos and stuff, in their neighborhood it's just bad schools. So what they say is, okay, if we want to level this playing ground, we got to create a publicly funded bus system to take students from these ghettos to where the good schools is, and that we're going to pay for that, knowing that is going to disproportionately benefit minority communities, ghettos, black people, right? Yeah. That's affirmative action. Now the question is, do we disagree with that? For
I
example?
don't disagree with affirmative action.
I agree with that. That's
because it's a difference between equity and equality. Like, we all want to be equal.
Or
but
justice.
Yeah. We all want to be. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Jerome. But we all want to be equal, but also, and us all being equal means that we start from the same starting block. But
exactly. We're not.
But Jose was trained by Usain Bolt, and I was trained by a bum off the road. Right. He's obviously going to do better. So now equity now comes in to, and I think affirmative action is that equity that makes sure that he was trained by Usain Bolt. I'm going to be trained by Usain Bolt, and now we both have the same chance, equal chances.
More clear, because slavery was a chain.
Yeah.
So you could say that in that same analogy. You could say it's not just that we got different trainers. Is that I can just speak bluntly, but white people started the race 500 years ago. You know what I mean? And now we started, so of course we behind. You understand? And the question is, do we tell white people, hey, we're gonna slow down a little bit because you done,
I'm gonna give Coakley get the last comment in, because I know you wanted to say something and I interrupted
no,
you.
you really interrupted.
Okay, so we're going into this Zwarte Piet conversation. I have a personal story about HB when he was in Holland. How did it feel to be called Zwarte?
Well, back then I didn't know Dutch, they hurt me so much. I was young then, but when I started to pick up, cause look, this is an interesting thing, right? Because St.Maarten is actually part of the Dutch kingdom, right? And back in the day, I would assume that we would have been familiar with these kind of customs in Holland.
What customs? What do you mean?
Or the Zwarte Piet, the difference between Sinterklaas and Santa Claus, as example. When I reached here, first thing on my head, like, I think I asked my brother, like, yo, Christmas will come earlier here, man, because like, what was Sinterklaas? It probably Santa Claus in Dutch, you know what I'm saying? But then when I started seeing like these little children in blackface and those things, I was like, okay, these supposed to be the devil. I mean the helpers or the deers, or I was confused, and for me initially, like I was joking, but I was serious at the same time. I didn't understand Dutch, so for me it was just watching, and because I was at a young age here, I didn't really understand racism to the extent I understand it now.
Right.
So it's just after the fact when I talked to my aunts, and my father used to hate that Zwarte Piet thing. And I like,
ask him like, why?
no, I like, yo, party man, they call me Zwarte Piet though.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Zwarte Piet.
Who you went to?
In Holland, I went to a Montessori school. I went there after Hurricane Louis for 1 year.
So how old you was around that time?
I was in first or second grade, so around 7, 8.
So 7, 8. So other kids who's 7, 8 year old too,
Yeah,
they can't use Zwarte Piet.
Can't use
So
Zwarte
they
Piet.
know.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're telling you that to bully you.
They had to bully me.
Okay, so they know it's not just a character,
Correct.
it's a negative character.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I was like, my father said like, who can't use Zwarte Piet? Who can't use Zwarte Piet? And then he was like upset about it, and then it's when I understood like, yo, this thing is it's a negative thing. Again, I wasn't I wasn't familiar with the racist thing at that age. I
And
was
you come from St.Maarten and we don't. Yeah.
you understand, but say, okay, it's a bad
thing. So what happened was, I went back to school, and they were teasing me, and I just figured, so the teaser Zwarte Piet. The teaser Zwarte Piet, right? So I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm a first fight.
You're blessed.
and that was that.
Because for me, I was introduced to Zwarte Piet in second grade because I immigrated from here, from Trinidad here, and like we were back and forth between here and St.Maarten, Trinidad and St.Maarten, and I remember seeing Zwarte Piet for the first time in second grade. I remember the teacher's name, Euphra Ivy.
Shout out Euphra Ivy.
Yeah, shout out Euphra Ivy.
Big up yourself.
And when I saw Zwarte Piet, I was like, yo, that's a slave, yo. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like,
So
how is that?
you were familiar with
Yeah, like for me, I knew about racism a lot earlier because my grandfather was a very militant individual with that spoke about Marcus Garvey. Trinidad had a lot of laureates that came out to Trinidad that was
From
part of that.
colonialism.
Yeah, that came out to that black movement with W.E. Du Bois and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was fairly familiar with it. So I came home and I was like, Mom, you know they're teaching us this thing. Santa help us a slave.
A black
slave. And my mother was like, what? And then I told my father, and my father was like, yo,
Come in.
cut that out. No, he didn't come in, but he was like, nah, you don't worry with that. Like we're not going to acknowledge that. You
But
know,
it was
like,
known that it was bad right away.
right away. I
Yeah.
remember in second grade thinking about that, and I don't remember it being present in school after that, or maybe I ignored it, and then I found out what caricatures were later on, and I was like, yo, Zwarte Piet is a caricature of us.
Yeah.
And when this argument about is a man going down the chimney in the suit, I was like, that don't make any sense because you got big red lips, so the suit make your lips
the hair,
and the curly hair.
yeah.
Yeah. Because we went to the same primary and high school. You remember Zwarte Piet in primary?
It wasn't a big part of the culture.
Yeah.
I remember doing Dutch class, Christmas time, we used to bring it up.
No,
but
yeah,
it never
yeah.
really like celebrated like in
Yeah.
the school stuff, you know?
Yeah. And you?
I want
Was
to put
it?
Yeah, same. I,
school
like
on
so.
blast, but I just want. I
Yeah.
curious, what school that was?
But I go get into
Yeah,
that
get
just
into
now. What was it?
But I had the same experience you have
Yeah.
where I learned about it through school, right? It just, it was, I think it might have been Dutch class, I don't remember. But what I know for sure is that at the time, I didn't make that connection. And maybe it's because I didn't have the, the militant parents that you had
Yeah.
who,
Was so like me, basically.
who get you woke to the whole idea of,
Yeah.
systemic racism and the history and all that. So it was just that for me. It was just, is this character is like a rip-off in my mind to Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But I had just take a shortcut and stop thinking right there, I was just like, all right, that's what that is, So, in fact, when I hear about this topic, I was like, okay, so I wonder if this is really more of a problem for Dutch people in Holland versus, people here in St. Maarten.
Yeah, St. Maarten.
Because, they see it more as their culture, you know what I mean? They have like fond memories, just like how we have fond memories of Christmas and all that. They have fond memories of, Sinterklaas and Zwarte Piet and that whole idea. So they feel more offended when somebody come in and try and tell them that like, oh, you can't do this no more, say this no more, you gotta get rid of this character from your, culture, right? So you think that's true? That
No,
we here
no,
in St. Maarten care less?
I mean, that's a part of it. That's a part of it. But the question is it correct?
Yeah, because like for example,
That's
like
what it was.
slavery was
Yeah.
part of culture
Exactly,
too.
yeah.
And we
So
abolished that.
the question really is, do we think that young black kids in Holland growing up seeing this and having kids, 7, 8 years old, knowing that is a negative thing, bullying them with that, does that have an effect on their self-esteem, on
I think
how
it does,
successful it is, how how present it is in society, how willing it is to speak up and all this stuff? And I would say that yes, of course.
But there's a group of us that and when I say a group of us, a group of black people that live in Holland or even live here, and say, well, that's their tradition.
Right.
I don't feel offended by it. Let them have their tradition. And for me, okay, I understand it's their tradition.
Right.
But it might not have an effect on you. It might have an effect on you.
Exactly.
It might have an effect on me. And to see yourself, because I think it's when you as a young black boy or black girl growing up, and you see that you feel. I would think you feel less of yourself. Like like I'm here to be made fun of.
Yeah.
You know what the thing is? I think they need to be self-educated with the whole idea, because to me, I agree with him to a certain extent. I don't think you really understand the whole idea of Zwarte Piet themselves, some of them, because impossible, like Coakley mentioned, that you've seen a curry here, which is us, with
Big red lips.
big red lips, and the whole idea, no matter how you twist and turn it,
Zwarte Piet is no positive character, period.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you always
the
do
whole idea is,
foolish stuff.
yeah,
But I think his character is kind of like a clown, right? I think he's like a clown character as a joker.
Ain't nothing cool about it.
Yeah.
So to me, if they understand it, right, maybe they like, at least from young, because even the children are fight and had arguments when we were young. I don't even think at that age they really understand what the whole idea was about.
Gotcha. So
No,
you
but-
think,
but-
so you think a solution?
Because what Zwarte Piet used to do, if I'm not mistaken, is poke hole in your shoe.
Yeah. If you was
Right.
bad or
If
some
you were bad
nonsense.
at it.
Oh, so it's the equivalent
So-
of like you get coal instead of a gift in Christmas.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's like
But already,
a scary dude.
but already they train you to hate the black person.
That's what I mean.
You jack?
That's what I mean. But if they understand the whole
The history, the context.
history, I don't think they would utilize it as much or support it at least.
Right.
I
Or
ain't
if-
saying utilize, support it
Right.
as much.
Or if they take an active step to know that, okay, this have a potential for being used against minorities.
Correct.
Let me take an active role in not just telling the story of Zwarte Piet, but also saying that, hey, specifically, this is not to be confused with, our fellow citizens here, and maybe take some time to invest in educating
Exactly.
people.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they understand the fictional character, right? Because the real idea about Sinterklaas is different too. And that was really trying to get at, because the Sinterklaas originally came from Spain, right? And I think I don't want to go into the tech. I can't remember the story good,
Right.
but if I'm not mistaken, Sinterklaas had pick up black people to assist him. If I'm not mistaken.
He had pick up black people.
Because there's a story of him
Yeah.
going through either Turkey or
Exactly.
Morocco,
And seeing black people.
and there's where he
Pick
got
up.
Zwarte Piet.
Correct.
Okay.
And then so this
Oh, so
story
since the
the-
class was going through this area,
Yeah.
and then he said, oh, you.
that is a
helpful.
version of a story that I've
that's the original story account to what I mean, because what the children know is a fictional character, like coming on chimney.
St. Nicholas, I think, is Turkish.
I think it's Spain.
Spain?
Yeah, I think, if I'm mistaken.
So
What I know is what-
Sinterklaas is St. Nicholas? Is the same?
No, it's
No.
that's why I
That's
mean,
two
I was
different things.
confused with what you're talking.
like the original story. If he's from Spain, then you have Moors. You have Moors in Spain.
Yeah.
And
Actually, he is based on St. Nicholas.
yeah.
Yeah, the patron saint of children.
And he was from what?
Spain, right?
I know it's one of those countries right there in close to the sea.
But I guess the question is, like, do you think that, like, it has an effect? I still think that's a
I
question.
think it has an effect
you know?
because, for example,
course,
and I want to bring in, because just recently, Sinterklaas died. What is it called? Sinterklaas?
Sinterklaas.
The day of December 5th. December 5th.
76, yeah.
Yeah, it's 6th or 5th.
6, the feast of.
Okay, yeah. So they had a party here where you have kids. There's 3 people in blackface.
Here in St. Maarten?
Here at St.Maarten. And when I saw that, I was like, and of course, in the picture, I don't know if they had any of our brothers and sisters there, but in the picture, it was only Caucasian Dutch people.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep, that's a fact.
So for
That's a
me,
good observation.
for me, it looked like it was
wow.
hiding, taking part of their tradition. So for me, it's like, okay, I understand we are Dutch. We're a Dutch colony of sorts, but I think if we ain't about this, then you don't. And you know that we feel a way about the blackface and whatnot.
Right.
Don't do it. Like if you want to keep the story as that he's coming in a chimney, he gets suit. Yeah, a little black on your face.
Yeah,
you know,
but not like full black skin.
Exactly. And put lipstick.
Because I hear that was actually a thing back in America in slavery days. That it was a thing, a show they used to put on.
I think it was Bojangles or something like that.
We used to like do things and make a mockery of things that black people do or say or how it is talk, and that was a form of entertainment for white people. You understand? So but as American context, right? The culture. I show Sinterklaas. I don't think they mean it that way, right? So when I look at, for example, people people in St.Maarten coming to parties dressed as blackface, I don't think the intent is to say, what we discussing here today, that, that this have an effect and it, oppressing black people and showing them that, forever you can be, less than because you're a helper, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think that's the intent. So I don't know if necessarily I would say that if we see somebody in St.Maarten, representing their culture in that way, that we should be like, oh, that's what they're trying to do, let's attack. I think we should have this discussion. What we're doing here.
Definitely. And that's something that we need to have with every discussion. I find that there's any common taboo, ground. Any taboo. There is common ground, because I know, for example, I have a colleague that speaks ill about homosexuals. But he has a very close relative that is homosexual. And
logical contradiction.
And for me, and so I think if we all have meaningful discussions, like you were saying, about all these taboo topics, then there's going to be a middle ground. There's going to be a ground where Dutch people know, okay, blackface is not cool to do.
You notice how this tie back to our initial topic of political correctness,
exactly.
right? This is it.
So the next, going into our final topic, Tekashi69.
How you want it?
Well, we go that.
You can't say true anymore.
Was it?
No.
Is this?
I don't be indicted. No RICO charges for me.
What? I'm like, nah.
Tekashi69 got arrested. I think he got arrested for being with Treyway and being affiliated to these.
So what happened? Why this went down? Like I didn't.
Quickly explain.
So basically, like the feds were watching these guys since like 2013, and then like to promote himself, Tekashi69 associated with them, in, like early 2017.
With the fellas who were being watched by the feds.
Yeah. He affiliated with them, and like they're really part of that street life, and like he trying to promote that image, so he like link up with these actual street guys, and then came to bite him in the butt basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is do you think
keeping it too real
is a detriment in detrimental to your career, where everything is fake anyway?
Right. Well, what I know about this story is I remember because I didn't hear about the new. I know he was arrested, but I didn't look into why. But when he got arrested, I remember other interview I had seen where Fat Joe had him on his show.
Yeah.
And you remember you said that scene where he was basically telling him, hey yo, dog, we see this before. It happened to me, it happened to a lot of people that I know. When the feds see somebody in the hip hop culture, which they don't like, they never liked from the beginning.
It's murder.
Right, exactly. They can target you and they can find a way to get you if you're reckless.
Especially if you're really involved in it.
Especially if you're really involved. But specifically if you're reckless, if you have, for example, people in your crew who you ain't checking, who you ain't, basically delivering the vision, like, yo, we're trying to make it, we're trying to do big things. That kind of talk you gotta have with your boys then when you let them know that, hey, I know we from the ghetto and this is what we just do, but we, stay smart.
Remember that? Okay, we're gonna get in that topic.
So I think he bring this on himself basically.
But we're gonna get the topic HB likes. 50 Cent did that same. Well, not to that extent where he was like telling people suck my la. But 50 was moving through New York like he
smart,
was the death squad. Like
50 you cuss on the show?
Okay, we don't cuss on the show. It's a family show. My daughter watches this show.
All I'm gonna say is this: 50 he look reckless, but I think he way more calculated than just come off. So I don't think he would make it.
There's a lot of boogeyman stories about 50 Cent.
Yeah, but
like in the early 2000s.
I feel like his boogeyman story was like before his fame. Like I feel like 6ix9ine made it a point to make it seem that he's part of this shit right now. He's rolling with the Bloods right now.
Yeah, that was his character.
Showing my red flag right now. 50 is like he was talking about it in a place of like, I did that in the past, this is where I'm at now.
I know, but yo, 50,
but now
yo,
he
50
was
them.
professional, you know, like
Yeah.
he was doing deals with vitamin water, he was doing deals with,
Yeah, no, but that's
you know.
late 50 Cent.
No, but
That's
what I
late
mean is it
50 Cent.
requires a level of
I'm
balance.
talking about G-Unit 50 Cent, where Yayo was locked up.
It wasn't that long
The
after.
game, no, that it was long after.
but there was
yeah, because it was 2001. He did that deal. I got money. That was 2007. So that's like
5 years ain't really.
that's 6 years, but
Yeah, but 6 years ain't. 6 years
is
ain't
like-
change who you is as a person, though. You know what I mean? Like,
No, but like I feel like G-Unit wasn't moving around like how the 9 True Bloods was.
Dog, G-Unit was moving around.
what they do? What crimes they were
We don't
committing?
know because social media didn't really exist. Like,
Oh,
how it
I see
exists
what you're
right
saying.
now.
No, that's that, and I was waiting for you to start to say this too, right? Your last comment is what it's a difference right there. Again, we were talking about times, right? At that time, a lot of things. Wait, your initial question was if
Keeping it too real.
Keeping it too
you're
real.
Fake in the street.
Right.
Is
no,
worth it.
again, to me, you have to deal with times, right? When 50, Tupac, Biggie, and those people was alive, right? Keeping to real was an asset for them, right? Because at that time, if you're not rapping what you're living, people will recognize it. One time they don't mess with you. The entertainment business developed,
And specifically
whereby
hip-hop, you know,
hip hop, yeah,
poetry expressing
correct,
struggle.
correct.
Yeah.
To the point where we initially start off, you have to be politically correct now, right? So we live in a more sensitive world right now. So Tekashi69 antics would have worked back then, but in this sensitive world at this moment, it's more rough for him to be that way.
No, but-
That's my opinion. Because listen, I agree with Christian. G-Unit was moving around just like the man, right? But at that time, they didn't have social media. They had.
So if without social media, how you find out?
because you have interviews of people come out in the past.
They have situation with Ja Rule.
But the thing is, it don't get real
the
until
whole
you get convicted.
the whole terror squad.
Let me see.
That's like that's industry stuff, man. The 9 True Bloods are in some street shit. Like
Wait.
Yo, so you trying to tell me? So wait, 50 get shoot 9 times because he was what?
yeah, but like when he
that was before, though.
squad,
That would be
like,
before. But he had to shoot up a hot 97.
How to rob. He dropped how to rob and the thing. Then after he got shot. So that was on his percent.
That is matter of fact, Gucci Man. Gucci Man was a boogeyman in hip hop in the 2000s, like 2000 recently.
You know who's even a better example, or even more recent example? Bobby Shmurda.
yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah, but he's too recent. He's like kind of Tekashi.
But it's the same thing though. Is a dude who trying to live, and I ain't gonna say he was fake because I think he out of all these people is probably the most real who actually
That's what he-
were keeping these goons around him, and that's just what happened.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Is you not controlling your goons and saying, hey yo, we coming up. You gotta control yourself. You gotta like play this game at a different level. This is chess, not checkers. That you gotta have that talk. And not having that talk means that if the Fed's watching, you get caught.
Yo, remember Jay said the streets is watching. He also said Feds watching too. But anyway,
I think, but
To answer your question, I think you could keep it real. But
in the past tense.
no. You can keep it real. You can keep it real. I mean, look, let's be real. If Tekashi69 ain't probably doing the same thing he's doing when he was in Tekashi69, because now you're making a lot more money, the risk higher, right?
Right.
Now you could keep it real in your music and see what you was doing. Now
he-
that's where
right.
what you
But
was
in the past tense,
exactly.
exactly.
But check-
Or you could just say you could even talk about things in the present tense, but make sure everybody understand that that's what was doing back then, and I just want to put it through my music. That was 50 that I would say. Listen,
Exactly.
I talk about guts. Look, he just bring up that song. What with Tekashi? What the name of it was again?
With it was a
Get the strap. Get the
Yeah,
strap.
yeah, get the strap.
That's a recent song, and he didn't talk about what he did
Yeah.
10 years ago, but he makes sure everybody understands this is
I
entertainment.
agree with that.
Yeah.
But you gotta move smart. Don't commit crimes. You can
that's-
talk about it.
That's the difference right there. You gotta move smart.
Exactly.
Tekashi69 wasn't moving
was
smart.
reckless.
Yeah, he was to me. He was doing it to get the fame.
Correct.
Like a guy came out from the 9 True Bloods. I know how true it is. Some part of the crew. He was like, we brought him in for that sole purpose of making him famous. He wasn't ganging with us. He wasn't in the streets. I mean, he eventually started doing it, but like they brought him in just to give him the the street credibility.
Yeah.
So he wasn't really about that life before that. He fake it until he really went into it, and now
He didn't stop faking it when you really make it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I want to, before we wrap up, knowing that you work in Silicon Valley, you're a Caribbean. I don't want to say West Indian because I saw this thing by Louis Farrakhan that say, don't.
What is it?
Like he said, don't say that you're West Indian. You're from the Caribbean.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
you know, because Christopher Columbus came to get in to find a new route to India, and then he just stumbled upon us and called us.
Oh,
West
that's why they
Indian.
call it West Indian. Okay.
You're from
Knowledge,
37 square miles. You work in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't see a Caribbean person; they see a black man.
Right.
So diversity in Silicon Valley. Is it something? Because it's come up a lot.
Yeah. No, it's still a thing.
In thing. But do you think it's the mashed potatoes on a plate? Is it something that you just brought on to the side? Just we got diversity. Look, the mashed potato right there. Do you feel it's treated as that, like the side and not the main course?
You mean like if people in Silicon Valley actually like
Are really
taking a formative action into making steps to
have
bridge
more
the
that-
gap?
Exactly. Yeah.
I would say yes, but only because I was just on a panel a couple months ago from this organization that's their goal. Their whole goal is to get women, so all minorities, women, people of color, into this industry. And so I would say yes, it is an active effort to do it. But to be honest, it's hard because when you're interviewing people, it's hard to overcome the unconscious bias.
Yeah.
The fact that when you walk into an interview room to sit down and decide whether or not we can get this person a job or not, the science shows that people make a decision whether they can hire you or not from the first couple of minutes. The rest of the interview is just to prove the decision that they didn't make already in the beginning. You understand? So that's still a big problem, and it requires a lot of active, like you have to start from the top. The CEO got to say like, this is a priority. We want a formative action. We want to make this something that we educating people throughout the process to overcome this unconscious bias. It's kind of the same thing that's happening in policing right now, where you have all these programs that are basically educating police on how to overcome unconscious bias, to basically train them that despite the fact that when they have this bias of always, whenever they see a black person, they see crime, you can't do that. You have to learn the training, ignore everything you see on TV and on media and on the news, and understand that you have to look at what's really going on objectively. And that requires training. So that same training, you have to get people in Silicon Valley to know that you ain't gonna overcome this just by saying on your logo and on your website that we diverse. No, you have to invest and you have to, really take, I hate using this word, but that's the word, affirmative action to get it. And I don't know if we're 100% there yet.
Oh, okay. There's this book that I read in college called Manufactured Consent by Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky, yes.
Huge. It's a really good book.
For what? Basically, how you just manufacture consent for war, right? When a country
for war. But he also breaks it down to like how even multinational conglomerates use that theory that he created to sell to you. And it's a really good book. So this conversation you brought up that concept. But anyway, anybody have anything else to say before we wrap up this show? My own was about Noam Chomsky.
I just want to say that since I guess I get to go first because are you gentleman or whatever. No, I just want to say that I love what you're doing here. I think how you're creating a platform for people to come and have these really important type of discussions on a level that you just rarely see out here. So props to you for putting yourself out there, buying these fancy mics, and making this happen. So
appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for coming out.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Proud for you for saying you said you are.
Make sure the people over there know you for St.Maarten still. You understand? But yeah, I hope by having you here, we spread our viewers over.
We want them views.
We want them views. Let us finish killing me, boy.
I'm coming for you.
It's good for them to see something from St.Maarten, especially. I want to say only Caribbean, but specifically from St.Maarten as well. So it's happy to have you here. You understand?
My pleasure, man.
Cookie. You have anything to say?
No, man.
No, just asking if you want to.
It's been said.
Anything you want to add in from Sinterklaas, being politically correct.
I like to say Trey,
Kevin.
but
No, but we don't. Hey, Let me get one more. I know the directors or the producers telling us we gotta wrap up. But have you heard Championships yet?
No.
With Meek Mill?
album?
You heard?
Oh, Meek Mill album?
My
I hear a
bad,
couple
my
of tracks.
bad, my
I
bad.
heard it, but
Top 10
not
albums.
not to switch the topic. You didn't ask in the question. You said that you gonna ask. Which guess?
Is he a guest?
Why-
Is he a guest? Okay, boom. The top five. Okay, my bad. Top 5 artists,
Rappers of all time?
rappers of all time.
Let me say right now, all time.
No,
All
time.
All time or right now? Which one?
All
All time.
All time.
through
Top
history.
5 for you.
I never give 5, but I know for sure, given what I know now of Tupac, not when I was listening to him and just Tug Life, but understanding, the struggle that he went through, the parents that he had, his mother was a Black Panther member, and the fact that he was really, speaking about the true things that was oppressing the culture. I would say Tupac for sure, but right now lately J. Cole, I like Black a lot because he really,
Yeah,
Of
sure.
all
talk about-
time.
That's true.
I'm mixing it to all time. right now.
No. Of all time. Don't
But then if
listen
you go
to
all
my
time,
brother.
everybody can say the usual.
Okay,
They can
okay.
say Tupac, Biggie. Who you want? Who's your top 5?
It's about yours. It's about you. Just call it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Tupac,
They don't influence you.
Of course, I gotta say Biggie because when I talk about all time, I gotta be Biggie. Who else? I would say 3-6. Yo, Drake. People just hate on Drake because he's number 1 now, but I think this man is a legend.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I
He's
think
a
this
legend.
man.
He's a legend.
Yo.
But he's not the top. He's not the top 1 rapper. And he's not the top 1 pop.
Yo, this is my list.
Okay,
This is
bro.
my list. The only problem with Drake right now is 2 things. One, he alive still, and he number 1. So it ain't cool to praise the number 1
That's
artist.
okay.
You know what I
He's
mean?
number
Okay,
Two more.
Two more from history. Lord, I really can't think of nobody else. I don't know. 3-6. 3-6. Jay-Z. No, my bad. Jay-Z.
You've been fishing for that
Jay-Z
for a
for
whole
sure. No. Real talk. Jay-Z is the only album I ever buy. Like I still have CDs of like the Black album and the one with the red one with the lines on it. What was it?
Blueprint 3.
Blueprint 3. Yeah.
So that's 5 though.
Jay-Z for sure.
Okay.
I know who else.
What you listen to right now, the car?
Right now, I'm listening to a lot of like Cali hip hop, yo. Like like people like
That's
Black.
West Coast stuff.
Yeah, West Coast.
Oh, Black really ain't.
What's the name of
yeah.
that guy?
Cali.
He released an album called Oxnard.
Oh, you talking about Peter Drum, Anderson .Paak. Yeah, Anderson .Paak. Yeah, he big too. I listen to him a lot. People, a group called Earth Gang.
I heard about them. but I
Yo,
haven't gotten
they're
to them.
sick, yo.
That-
They're
that-
sick.
that's-
They got a track called Up on YouTube right now. It ain't released on Spotify or nothing yet,
It's on YouTube only.
but it's on YouTube. Sick, good energy, good,
That's why we have to ask these questions.
Yeah.
I don't know these people.
Yeah.
That one I don't know. I know Anderson .Paak, but I don't know.
Anderson .Paak. But this is the culture, right? People who, in other words, men who understanding that real true hip hop. Let's bring it back to its essence. It's about expressing emotion, right? It just so happened that the emotion when hip hop was incepted was struggle, was oppression, was violence. So that's how it started. But today is a little different and it got more nuance in it. So let me take it there, and that's what these people do, Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank Jose for coming through. Thank Coakley for coming back from the front side.
Come over the hill, cross the border.
Cross the border.
Back across.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think about the class in St. Martin, being politically correct, all these things. Thank you for tuning in, Cultervators. It's over.
Hey, this is sick, dog. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, this is legit. This is legit, dog. I ain't there.